The family dinner had been going exactly as I'd expected. Right up until Dad stood, clinked his glass like he was giving a wedding toast and said, "Everyone, I have an announcement about the family estate." His voice carried that authoritative tone he used when he wanted no arguments. "Your mother and I have been discussing the future and we've made some important decisions." I set my fork down slowly and watched the faces around the table. Marcus sat straighter. His wife, Ashley, could barely contain her excitement. Victoria smiled as if she'd already heard the speech. Me, 32-year-old Lauren, middle child, the quiet one, I just waited. "The main house will go to Marcus," Dad continued, gesturing toward the Victorian we were sitting in. "He has the family to fill it. 3 kids need space." He glanced around. "Victoria will get the lake cabin, she loves it so much. And Lauren," he paused, looking at me with what he probably thought was kindness, "you'll get the downtown condo. Perfect for a single woman with your lifestyle." Your lifestyle translated in Dad speak to no husband, no kids, and a small business. Marcus and Victoria would split the rental properties to manage. Mom chimed in, "They'll need the income for their families." "Lauren, you're doing fine with your tech work." Around the table everyone nodded like this made perfect sense. Marcus started talking renovations. Victoria planned holiday gatherings. Ashley photographed the dining room as if already mapping upholstery swatches. No one asked me what I thought. No one asked if I agreed. They divided up the estate like I was a child who couldn't possibly understand adult matters. "Aren't you going to say anything?" Dad asked, looking at me expectantly. I pulled out my phone and checked the time. "Actually, I think someone's at the door." As if on cue, the doorbell rang. "We're not expecting anyone," Dad said, frowning. "I am," I answered quietly, standing. "That would be the courier from Judge Morrison's office." The room went silent. I walked to the front door and opened it. A professional courier stood there with a thick envelope and a clipboard. "Lauren Hayes?" he asked. "That's me. Documents from the Superior Court. Need signatures from everyone listed here." He glanced down. "Robert Hayes, Margaret Hayes, Marcus Hayes, Victoria Hayes. Are they present?" "Yes." "Come in." I led him back to the dining room. He began laying out documents on the table. Court papers with Judge Morrison's seal, property deeds, legal declarations. Dad's face creased. "What is this?" "This is reality," I said calmly. "You just divided up an estate that doesn't exist. At least not the way you think it does." Marcus grabbed the nearest paper. "Deed transfer, Hayes Family Properties LC. Current owner, Lauren Hayes." He looked up confused. "This must be a mistake." "It's not." I gestured for the courier to continue. "What you're looking at are the deeds to every property you just parceled out. This house, the lake cabin, the downtown condo, all 6 rental units." "That's impossible," Mom whispered. "These properties have been in the family for generations." "They were in the family," I corrected. Past tense. I picked up one of the documents and watched their faces go pale. 7 years ago, Dad's business went bankrupt. You were drowning in debt, facing foreclosure on everything. You were going to lose it all. Mom gripped the edge of the table. Dad's color drained. "At 25, I sold my first software company," I continued. "I made $3.2 million from the acquisition. I was young and lucky, and when you came to me, desperate, begging for help, I didn't loan you money. I bought everything. I paid off the debts, cleared the mortgages, saved the properties." "You said you'd loan us money," Dad whispered. "No. You assumed I'd loan you money. I said I'd help, and I did, by purchasing the properties through my LLC." I slid another set of documents forward. "I've been managing everything for 7 years. The rental income you thought was yours? That was me giving you an allowance. The property taxes you thought you were paying? I've been covering them. Every repair, every expense, me." Victoria's voice was barely audible. "But we live here as your tenants. That's incredibly generous considering market rates." "You were tenants living in my properties while planning to take them from me," I said. "You never asked. Not when I initially helped, and not tonight when you casually divided up my assets as if I didn't exist." Marcus stood abruptly. "You let us believe we own these places." "I never said you did. You assumed, just like you assumed I was only playing with computers while I built a multimillion-dollar business. You assumed the condo was charity when I actually own it, along with everything else." Ashley's excitement curdled into horror. We can't afford to rent a house this size. Market rate for a property like this is about $8,000 a month, I said. But don't worry, I'm not charging you that. I'm charging you nothing because you're leaving. What? Dad's voice cracked. I produced another packet of papers. These are eviction notices. 30 days for everyone currently living in my properties. Victoria shrieked. You can't just throw us out. I am. You've been living rent-free while plotting to take these places from me. The next morning my phone exploded. Angry texts from Marcus, desperate voicemails from Mom, a few terse messages from extended family who'd heard the news. Then Marcus Chin, my attorney, called. Judge Morrison wants to see everyone in his chambers, he said. Your father filed an emergency petition claiming elder abuse and property fraud. Expect him tomorrow at 10 a.m. Bring all your documentation. Judge Morrison's chambers were smaller than I'd imagined. My family sat on one side with their attorney, a young man Dad had hired who looked fresh out of law school. I sat on the other with Marcus Chin, who'd practiced real estate law for 20 years. Mr. Hayes, Judge Morrison began, looking at my father, you claim your daughter defrauded you out of the family properties. Let's review the facts. Dad's attorney jumped in first. Your Honor, the Hayes family properties have been held for 3 generations. My client faced temporary financial difficulties, and his daughter took advantage of the situation. Judge Morrison raised a hand. I've reviewed the documents. 7 years ago, Mr. Hayes was in bankruptcy proceedings. All properties were in foreclosure. His daughter purchased every property at fair market value, paid off all debts and cleared all mortgages. Are these facts disputed? No, Your Honor, the attorney admitted, but the family believed. What the family believed, the judge interrupted, is irrelevant. What matters is what actually occurred. He looked directly at my father. Mr. Hayes, did your daughter commit fraud? Dad hesitated. She let us think we still owned. Did she ever tell you that you owned the properties? Not exactly. Did you ever ask her directly about ownership? Silence. Did you pay property taxes on these properties? We thought we were. That's not what I asked, the judge cut in. Did money ever leave your bank account for property taxes? No. Did you pay for major repairs, insurance, or any expenses associated with ownership? Dad looked down. Lauren handled all that because she owns the properties. Judge Morrison set his papers down deliberately. Mr. Hayes, your daughter saved you from complete financial ruin. She legally purchased your properties, allowed you to live in them rent-free for 7 years, and managed every expense herself. And your response was to attempt to redistribute her assets without her consent. Mom burst out, we're her family. The court documents show your daughter has a net worth of approximately $8 million, the judge said evenly. How much have you contributed to her success? No one spoke. She built her wealth through her own work, saved your family from bankruptcy, and provided free housing for 7 years. What exactly do you believe you're entitled to? Dad's attorney tried again. Your Honor, we're requesting the court invalidate the eviction notices. They have 30 days to vacate, the judge said sharply. That's standard. And considering they've paid no rent for 7 years, they should have substantial savings. He turned to my parents. How much have you saved? The silence said everything. You spent it, the judge concluded flatly. You lived beyond your means because your daughter was subsidizing your lifestyle. And now you want the court to force her to continue. She's our daughter, Dad said, voice cracking. And you're her parents, Judge Morrison replied. Parents who apparently never noticed their daughter became a multimillionaire. Parents who planned to give away her properties without her consent. He closed the file. The eviction notices stand. Property ownership is confirmed. This case is dismissed. In the hallway, Marcus caught up to me. Lauren, wait. Can we talk? Your 30 days start from the eviction notice date, I said. I know. He ran a hand through his hair. I didn't know about any of it. Why didn't you tell us? Would it have mattered? I asked. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. We both knew the answer. You would have asked for more, I said quietly. If you'd known I had money, every problem would have become my problem. I'd have gone from invisible to an ATM. We didn't mean to make you feel invisible. Yes, you did, I said calmly. Every time you praised Marcus Jr.'s little league game but forgot to ask about my company acquisition. Every time you planned family events without inviting me. Every time you introduced me as our daughter who works with computers while Marcus was our son, the operations manager. I pressed the elevator button. I was invisible until you needed money. The doors slid open. Marcus's voice softened. Lauren, will you ever forgive us? I thought about 7 years of quiet support. A lifetime of being overlooked. The dinner where they divided my properties like I wasn't even there. Maybe, I said as the doors began to close. But forgiveness doesn't mean I go back to being invisible. It doesn't mean you get to live in my houses. And it definitely doesn't mean you get to treat me like the family backup plan. 28 days later my family moved out. Marcus found a townhouse rental. Victoria settled into a small apartment. My parents moved into a senior living community with affordable units. I hired a property manager for the main house and listed it for rent. A lovely couple with twin teenagers moved in for $7,500 a month. The lake cabin became a vacation rental generating steady income. 3 months after the eviction, a handwritten letter arrived at my office. The envelope was thin, the handwriting unmistakable. Dear Lauren, Judge Morrison was right. I should have thanked you instead of suing you. You saved us when we had nothing and we repaid you by trying to take everything. You were never invisible to me. You just scared me, so smart, so capable, so far beyond what I understood. I didn't know how to relate to you, so I pretended you were still the little girl who needed her father. I'm proud of you. I should have said it sooner. We're learning to live within our means now. Your mother is working part-time. I'm consulting. We're figuring it out. I see you now, Lauren. Finally. Love, Dad. I read the letter 3 times sitting in my office at company headquarters. I thought about being invisible, being dismissed. And finally about being seen. Then I picked up my phone and typed a message. Coffee next week? Dad's reply came almost instantly. I'd like that. Forgiveness wasn't about forgetting or pretending the past never happened. It was about moving forward, with boundaries, with respect, with honesty. They'd have to earn their way back. Not with apologies but with consistency. With acknowledgement of who I truly was. Not invisible. Not a backup plan. Not a piggy bank. Just Lauren Hayes. Business owner, property investor, self-made millionaire. And maybe someday daughter and sister again. On my terms.